This is so beautiful when the sun is low, rolling over the sands. You can see spice in the air.
Denis Villeneuve's Dune, released in 2021, is a visually striking adaptation of Frank Herbert's groundbreaking 1965 science fiction novel. Known for its deep philosophical themes, political intrigue, and ecological warnings, set over 10,000 years in the future in a feudal interstellar society. The story follows Paul Atreides as his noble family takes control of the desert planet Arcadius, home to the powerful and rare spice, melange. This drug not only extends life and enhances mental abilities, but is essential for space navigation, marking Arcadius the most coveted planet in the galaxy. Rather than embracing traditional sci-fi tropes like aliens or chrome-filled sets, Villeneuve aimed to create a philosophical and grounded experience. Working with over 200 artists, he and costume designer Jacqueline West set out to build a world where every garment felt both functional and meaningful. The costumes in Dune are integral to the storytelling. The Fremen stillsuits, the first costumes completed, are a perfect example of world building through design. These suits, grade jumpsuits with built-in armor, recycle bodily fluids into drinking water, a necessity for surviving Arcadia's brutal desert. Sculptor Jose Fernandez, known for designing superhero suits like Wonder Woman's armor and Batman's batsuit, helped shape these practical yet cinematic designs. The sleek silhouettes allow actors to move freely, with Timothée Chalamet and Rebecca Ferguson literally embodying their characters more fully once suited up. The Atreides family, representing a noble house in decline, were dressed in garments inspired by the Romain vows and historical epics like Lawrence of Arabia, evoking elegance and loss. Personally, the mystical fluid costumes worn by the Bene Gesserit were among my favorites. Their flowing silhouettes enhanced their supernatural presence and captured their quiet power. I also appreciated the realism of the Fremen gear. It wasn't just costume for aesthetics. It felt lived in, necessary. Even Austin Butler's villainous look stood out. Sleek, sharp, and imposing without being cliche or overdone. Through every thread, Dune uses costume as a narrative force, blending history, culture, and futurism into one mesmerizing visual experience. Costume designer and creative vision. The costumes in Dune, designed by Jacqueline West and Bob Morgan, are a masterclass in fusing ancient cultural references with futuristic storytelling, drawing heavily from Middle Eastern, North Africa, and Buddhian traditions. The costume design avoids the typical silver and sleek tropes of science fiction, and instead creates a world that feels timeless and tactile. From the robes of the Bene Gesserit to the survival stillsuits of the Fremen, every garment is rooted in realism and purpose. The designers look to medieval armor, religious garments, and utilitarian wear to inform the silhouettes and textures, embedding within them both spiritual and political meaning. For instance, the Bene Gesserit's costumes evoke the quiet power of monastic and ceremonial dress, enhancing their mystical authority and enigmatic presence. Functionality was at the core of the design philosophy. The Fremen stillsuits are perhaps the most iconic example. Designed to recycle bodily fluids into drinkable water, these desert suits reflect not just survival, but the deep respect the Fremen have for their harsh environment. Inspired by military tactile gear and real-life desert wear, they had to look believable yet cinematic, allowing for freedom of movement and durability. In contrast, the aristocratic Atreides family wore garments inspired by historical monarchy, specifically the Roman novels, bringing a sense of regal elegance and impending downfall. Their polished, minimal aesthetic symbolized political power, but also vulnerability. What makes Dune's costume design so powerful is how it balances storytelling and style. West and Morgan created a wardrobe that speaks volumes about the characters' cultures, beliefs, and social standing, without a single word spoken. Whether drawing from ancient traditions or modern minimalism, the costumes in Dune create a deeply immersive world where fashion becomes a language of survival, heroicy, and identity. Stillsuits survival fashion. The iconic stillsuits in Dune are more than just visually compelling. They're a central piece of the film's world building, blending real-world practicality with thematic symbolism. Designed specifically for survival of the harsh desert planet of Arcades, these suits function by preserving and recycling the body's moisture, including sweat, into drinkable water. This innovation grounds the story in ecological realism and sets a new standard for how sci-fi costumes can reflect environment-based necessity. The suits are form-fitting, gender-neutral, and inspired by tactical military gear, prioritizing movement, protection, and function over aesthetic vanity. They aren't flashy. They're built for endurance with dark gray tones to help wearers blend into the sand while offering sun protection and breathability. Lightweight yet armored, they convey both resilience and adaptability. The stillsuits also carry deep symbolism. In Dune, to wear a stillsuit properly is to show respect for the land and an understanding of how to survive in harmony with it. For Paul Atreides, mastering the suit signifies more than adaptation. It marks his transformation into a true freeman and future leader. The design echoes the philosophies of real-life desert nomads such as the Bedouins, the Tuareg, and other indigenous peoples whose clothing and costumes evolved to honor and endure unforgiving environments. The Freeman's use of suits is a commentary on ecological responsibility, living not to conquer nature, but to coexist with it, using ingenuity and respect. Ultimately, the stillsuits embody Dune's deeper messages about sustainability, humility, and survival. In contrast to the ornamental robes of noble houses or the polished uniforms of space empires, these suits represent power that comes from adaptation, not dominance. They are a visual reminder that in Arcades, survival isn't about what you wear to show status, it's about what you wear to live. House of Atreides costumes. The color palette and tailoring of Dune play a critical role in communicating the values, power structures, and inner conflicts of House Atreides. Dominated by blacks, deep greens, and steely grays, their wardrobe is sleek, militaristic, and noble, evoking both authority and austerity. The clean, structured lines of their garments emphasize discipline, control, and heroicy, reflecting their role as a ruling house navigating political danger and moral complexity. Paul Atreides' wardrobe evolves as a visual metaphor for his transformation. He begins in finely tailored noble wear, complete with armor and capes, symbolizing his status as heir and hero in training. The cape and armor combination hints at classical hero archetypes, but with a restrained modern edge. As he moves from the polished courts of Caladan to the brutal desert of Arcades, his shift into the Freeman stillsuit marks a profound identity change, one that mirrors his acceptance of a greater destiny rooted in survival, humility, and adaptation. Duke Leto costumes balance regal elegance with rugged practicality. His armor, often worn in beneath stately outer garments, signals a man who leads both politically and in battle. He is both sovereign and soldier, and his attire reflects his duality. Lady Jessica, meanwhile, embodies a fusion of Bene Gesserit mysticism and royal sophistication. Her wardrobe, featuring flowy gowns, structured silhouettes, and high necklines in dark, luxurious fabrics, conveys quiet power and spiritual authority. Her elegance isn't ornamental, but controlled, hinting at her inner strength, emotional restraint, and pivotal role in Paul's journey. Together, the visual language of House Atreides fashion captures the tension between duty and destiny, tradition and transformation. Each garment isn't just stylish. It tells a story of power, legacy, and the personal cost of survival in a world where appearance, politics, and identity are inseparable. Bene Gesserit aesthetic. The aesthetic of the Bene Gesserit in Dune is one of the most visually arresting and symbolically rich elements of the film's costume design. Their wardrobe is steeped in religious, Gothic, and minimalistic influences, presenting them as a powerful, almost mythical force. Clad in layers of black on black tones, veils, high collars, long robes, their appearance evokes immediate associations with secrecy, ritual, and manipulation. The lack of color strips away vanity, creating a sense of visual uniformity that enhances their mystique. Every element of their costume reinforces their psychology, control, restraint, and silent strength. The Bene Gesserit aesthetic draws clear visual parallels to real-world figures of spiritual and hierarchical influence: nuns, priestesses, and members of secret societies. Their veiled faces and ceremonial postures call to mind religious orders that operate behind closed doors, shaping power through influence rather than force. The high necklines and flowing silhouettes conceal rather than reveal, creating an image of disciplined modesty that only amplifies their ominous presence. There's a sense that every fold of fabric, every seam is intentional, a physical manifestation of the order's calculated and enigmatic nature. What makes the Bene Gesserit's costume design so compelling is how it visualizes their core belief: mind over matter. These women wield incredible influence not through weapons, but through presence, persuasion, and psychological mastery. Their clothing mirrors this subtle dominance, uniform elegance that doesn't scream power but whispers it. They don't need embellishments to command attention. Their restraint is their strength. Jacqueline West's costume work here transcends fashion and becomes a language in itself. Every dark drape and silhouette hinting at centuries of knowledge, hidden agendas, and quiet control. The Bene Gesserit aren't just dressed for ritual, they're clothed in legacy, manipulation, and a psychology that sees power as something to be worn softly but never unnoticed. Harkonnen costumes. The Harkonnen costumes in Dune stand in stark contrast to the sleek nobility of the Atreides, embodying Gothic brutality and unchecked excess. Their wardrobe is dominated by black, rubbery textures, and heavy industrial-feeling armor that evokes a sense of menace and decay. This harsh aesthetic visually communicates the Harkonnens' philosophy of dominance through fear, violence, and exploitation. Their clothing isn't designed for elegance or subtlety. It's built to intimidate and overwhelm. The Baron Harkonnen costumes are perhaps the most striking expression of this monstrous decadence. His floating robes expose patches of bare, pale skin, highlighting his grotesque physicality and indulgent cruelty. The flowing yet oppressive fabric suggests both his immense power and corrupt excess, making him appear larger than life, yet disturbingly inhuman. His attire blurs the line between regal and repulsive, reinforcing his role as a tyrant who rules through terror. Glossu Raban, known as the Beast, is dressed in heavy, cumbersome armor that lacks any finesse or sophistication. His costume reflects his brute force approach, raw, imposing, and relentless. The armor's industrial design emphasizes strength over grace, underscoring Raban's role as a tool of oppression rather than a refined strategist. His costume's bulk and weight mirror his personality: forceful, aggressive, and merciless. Together, the Harkonnen costumes visually define a world of excess and moral decay. Where the Atreides embody discipline, honor, and nobility, the Harkonnens represent corruption, cruelty, and unchecked power. Their brutal aesthetic not only supports the narrative conflict, but also serves as a visceral reminder of the darker forces at play in the Dune universe. Forces that thrive on fear, domination, and exploitation of others. Fremen style. The Fremen style in Dune is a striking blend of earthy tones, practical head wraps, and spiritual minimalism that perfectly captures their identity as desert warriors and deeply connected inhabitants of Arrakis. Their clothing reflects a profound balance between survival and reverence for their harsh environment. Every piece functional, yet imbued with cultural and spiritual significance. The muted palette of browns, tans, and grays echoes this desert landscape, helping them blend seamlessly into the sands while symbolizing their harmony with nature. Their style embodies resilience, humility, and wisdom, born from centuries of living in one of the galaxy's most unforgiving worlds. Chani, the Fremen warrior and visionary, personifies this aesthetic with a blend of strength and softness. Her garments convey her role as both a fierce protector and a spiritual guide. The practical layers and head wraps offer protection against the desert elements, while the fluidity of her attire reflects the grace and depth of her character. This simplicity in design speaks volumes, eschewing the elaborate and ostentatious for the essential. It conveys survival, connection, and profound knowledge. The Fremen minimalistic and utilitarian style sharply contrasts with the polished elegance of the Atreides and the grotesque excess of the Harkonnens, both seen as outsiders and intruders on the AMARIJASZ. Where the Atreides' refined garments speak of nobility and political power, and the Harkonnens' brutal armor represent domination through fear, the Fremen understated yet purposeful dress symbolizes a deep-rooted resistance and spiritual symbiosis with the planet itself. Their style isn't just clothing. It's a visual declaration of their identity, endurance, and a sacred relationship they maintain with the desert. In the world of Dune, Fremen fashion is survival, wisdom, and rebellion woven into every thread. Themes and symbolism through costume. In Dune, costume design is a powerful tool for expressing the film's central themes and symbolism, particularly the preciousness of water and the dynamics of power. On the desert planet Arrakis, water is wealth, a vital resource that sustains life and shapes culture. This theme is reflected in the clothing, especially the Fremen stillsuits, which are engineered to preserve and recycle every drop of moisture. Their suits symbolize survival and respect for the environment, grounding the story's ecological message in tangible costume design. Power structures within the Dune universe are vividly visualized through distinct wardrobes. The Atreides wear clean, disciplined garments that communicate honor, order, and nobility. Their sleek, tailored outfits embody the weight of responsibility and moral integrity they carry. In contrast, the Harkonnens' costumes are dark, heavy, and grotesque, representing corruption, domination, and fear. Their clothing is designed to intimidate and oppress, emphasizing their brutal philosophy of control through excess and violence. The Fremen's earth-tone minimalistic attire stands apart as a symbol of harmony and resistance, blending spirituality with practicality and reflecting their deep connection to Arrakis. Color theory plays a crucial role in conveying these themes. Dark colors often signify secrecy and power, seen in the Bene Gesserit and Harkonnenian wardrobes, while earth tones communicate survival, grounding characters in their environment. Grays suggest neutrality and transformation, especially in Paul and Jessica's evolving costumes as they transition from outsiders to integral figures within the Fremen society. These costume shifts mirror key character arcs. Paul's progression from polished nobleman to desert warrior is marked by his move from formal Atreides wear to the utilitarian stillsuit, signaling his adaptation and growth. Similarly, Jessica's blend of Bene Gesserit mysticism with regal elegance reflects her dual role as mother, political player, and spiritual guide. Through clothing, Dune weaves a rich narrative of ecology, power, and identity, where each stitch carries meaning. Real-world fashion and closing thoughts. Dune's costume design has left a distinct mark on contemporary fashion, inspiring runway collections from designers like Balenciaga and Rick Owens, who blend sci-fi minimalism with functional, futuristic spirituality. Unlike typical sci-fi costumes that often emphasize flashy tech or sleek chrome, Dune's wardrobe balances practicality with symbolic depth, reflecting not just a distinct future, but complex social hierarchies, environmental challenges, and cultural identities. The costumes convey class, distinction, and survival instincts, and power dynamics, making the world feel authentic and immersive. Ultimately, these designs transforms Dune's universe into a place that feels simultaneously lived in, dangerous, and sacred. A testament to how thoughtful costume design can elevate storytelling beyond the screen. And that was my take on Dune costume analysis. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on those post notifications and let me know what was your favorite costume / outfit in either of the Dune movies. I'll see you in my next one. Mwah.